And welcome to Cuyahoga County Community Development Committee meeting. It's Monday, January 23rd at approximately 3:06 p.m. and we are about to start our meeting. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, if you would read the roll call.
As a reminder to all in attendance, this meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the county's YouTube page. Calling the roll for Ms. Stevens.
Present.
Mr. Jones.
Here.
Ms. Simon.
Here.
Mr. Gallagher. Mr. Gallagher is absent. Mr. Kelly.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Has anyone had a chance to review the minutes from the last meeting?
Make a motion that the minutes be approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of passing these minutes, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, these minutes are approved. Madam Clerk, if you would take us into the subject matter of today's meeting.
And Madam Chair, for the record, there is no one signed in for public comment.
Thank you.
First item, Resolution 2023-0002, awarding a total sum not to exceed $360,000 from the Cuyahoga County Community Development Fund to the Cleveland Cultural Gardens Federation for the maintenance and upgrades for the Cleveland Cultural Gardens located in the city of Cleveland.
Do we have someone here to represent the organization today? Please
Yes,
identify
thank you.
yourself with your name and your position with the organization.
Thank you. My name is Lori Yashik, and I'm the Executive Director of the Cleveland Cultural Gardens Federation.
Talk to us.
Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon, County Council members and members of the committee. Thank you for this opportunity and for considering this project. We are most appreciative, and it's a pleasure to talk with you today about the Cultural Gardens. The Cleveland Cultural Gardens Federation is the governing body for our garden members. I'm speaking on behalf of our board members, our president, Dr. Curry, and we also have with us today Paul Burke, who's a member of our board and a past president, and Carl Ewing from the African American Garden. The Federation works to preserve and promote the gardens and spread the garden's mission of peace through mutual understanding. We assist our members by providing common services, approving design plans, producing programming such as One World Day and World on Stage concert series, and acting as a liaison to city, county, and state governments and partner institutions. The Cultural Gardens are unique in the world. We are a place of respite, beauty, art, and culture. Our gardens represent the diversity of our region and the many cultures that call Northeast Ohio home. They are a source of pride to the communities that sponsor them and an educational and recreational resource for the entire region. We have represented in our gardens countries from Europe, Asia, Africa, South America, and the Middle East, as well as African American and Native American gardens. In recent years, working in partnership with the City of Cleveland, we have expanded the number of new garden lots and have approved members from Colombia, Mexico, Peru, France, Egypt, and Uzbekistan. We have also completed construction of our Centennial Peace Plaza, a 300-seat amphitheater in the center of Rockefeller Park that can be used by all the gardens as a gathering space for large performances and events. It is also open to the community for use. We also have taken a significant leap in hiring a development manager to meet our staff needs, and we have created a strategic plan for the future. The impact we have on Cuyahoga County can be seen every day, with more and more residents and tourists coming to visit, and most notably our One World Day event on the last Sunday in August. In 2022, according to police estimates, between 35,000 and 40,000 people came to the event and witnessed our parade of flags, our naturalization ceremony for new citizens, ethnic food, music, and dance in each of our gardens. While we are happy about our successes, there is still work to be done, particularly when it comes to upgrades and capital improvements. There is hardly a tour that we give or event that we have at which someone asks, where are the bathrooms? Although we rent porta-johns for events, we also want to encourage people to come enjoy our gardens at other times, and the absence of bathrooms can be a drawback to visiting. This project will enable us to work with the city to ensure that we finally get those in place. Exploring internet connectivity will also allow us to create digital content for our gardens and expand our educational outreach. We also can explore we also possibly will explore enhancing security in our park with security cameras. We want to support our gardens in terms of upgrades and maintenance. Building a new garden is expensive, as you can imagine. Costs involve in hiring an architect, creating a plan, and installing statuary monuments, informational pedestals, water features, and other elements run into the hundreds of thousands. And the fundraising can take years. To add elements to an existing garden and maintain landscaping and stonework also is costly. The Federation frequently organizes volunteer days to assist all of our gardens with landscaping, but at the end of the day, there are also significant monetary costs involved in sustaining and growing the gardens. Funding from this legislation will enable us to create a mechanism to assist in installations, upgrades, and maintenance of our gardens. In terms of our timeline, if the legislation is passed, we would begin immediately to meet with the city about a public-private partnership to construct restrooms. We hope that conceptual plans could be completed within 6 months and that within a year the restrooms can be in place. For upgrades and maintenance to our gardens, the Federation's Executive Board will appoint members, particularly those from our Design and Preservation Committee, to set up a process whereby the individual gardens can access funds. Criteria for this can be drafted and approved by the board within 6 months. We also hope to use these funds to further develop educational programs to benefit all of our gardens. Drawing visitors to them ultimately assists them in garnering attention and support. The impact of this funding will be tremendous at many levels. We will do our best to manage and direct this grant for the common good of the gardens, the city, and the county so that all can be enriched by this unique gem in our midst. Thank you, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do any of my colleagues have questions? Ms. Simon?
Thank you so much. I'm going to ask you the question. I understand this is a county grant application for the cultural gardens
Yes.
that are quite valuable to the county, but also are located in the city of Cleveland. I wanted to ask you, and I think you know my question, is has the city of Cleveland given any money, any grants to the cultural gardens for the purposes of which you set forth here in front of us today?
We work very closely with the city. As you just stated, it's a city park, Rockefeller Park. And so the city provides services primarily that are in kind, such as, you know, the individual gardens maintain and manage what's within their gardens. But the city mows the lawn, takes care of the trees, provides infrastructure support, water lines, electricity. So we work very closely with all of those things. City has given us financial support for events such as One World Day, and but direct funding to the city from the city. We had direct funding from the city for our Centennial Peace Plaza a couple of years ago, but that has been in terms of direct funding that's basically what the environment is.
So excuse me, in your presentation, you mentioned restrooms.
Yes.
I've walked this, the entire strip multiple times because I used to do the 3-day with the Coleman Fund. And bathrooms, you talked about bathrooms, there aren't any.
No.
Where are you talking about placing them? And are you asking the city to be completely responsible for the construction and maintenance of those bathrooms?
Basically, this will be a private-public partnership with the city, with both of us contributing to this project. We have not figured out a timeline for that. The next step would be to form a group, work with the city Parks Department, and figure out how that's going to work. In addition to construction of the bathrooms, we would also obviously have to create a servicing plan and a maintenance plan. So those details have not been worked out yet.
At the pool, depending on your perspective, it's either the end or the beginning across from the tennis courts. Is that a walking?
That's actually,
That's owned by the city.
That's owned by the city. That's actually, the tennis courts, that area far to the south is actually not part of the Cultural Gardens.
Okay.
The park is 254 acres, and the Cultural Gardens constitute about half of that.
Okay. So it starts closer to that first bridge?
Closer to the Wade Park Bridge.
Okay, because it's all continuous to those of us when we're walking.
Of course, yeah.
You walk up to
Yeah.
the tennis courts, you know you're at the park.
Right, right.
Okay. So what's the schedule for beginning conversations with the city about doing restroom facilities? 'Cause that-
Immediately, as soon
It
as.
gets closer to my colleague's point. We're contributing, and yes, we respect the fact that they're putting money in every day.
Yes,
But we still like to see projects where they're partnering.
yes. We will report back to you, but we have not, the conversations will start immediately.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Yes,
So this money for which they've applied is toward these general maintenance, I'm looking at the operations. This money won't go toward the bathrooms, right?
A portion of it will, and a portion of it will, the majority of it will go to upgrades and improvements to the gardens.
What if the city of Cleveland does not give you the funds necessary to complete the bathroom project? Because you just have not had conversations with them yet, and you're asking for us to give money toward this project that might not ever come to fruition if the city doesn't step up.
Well, I'm confident the city will step up. There are plans for the restoration of the rest of Rockefeller Park. The parts of the park that are not specifically gardens. For example, there's a small park within the park called Kosowinski Park, which is directly across the street from our Centennial Peace Plaza. I know that the city is considering placing restrooms there. So there has been talk. We have had some very, very preliminary talks. They're not anything specific, but I know the city has a desire to put bathrooms in the park. So I can't guarantee a set dollar amount, but I know that it is their desire to do so.
Madam Chair, I don't mind supporting this, but if the bathrooms aren't necessarily on the table from the city of Cleveland and we allocate the funding for that, I don't know if we should look at getting some kind of follow-up with this and
We'd be happy
if the
to do
money
that.
can't be used for the bathrooms, then maybe, we need to know about that.
Yeah,
And have you
I'd be happy
applied?
to report back to you on that.
Have you actually filled out any applications for ARPA dollars through the city? I know they have a different process. Have you had an opportunity to do that? Because you've done it here.
We have received ARPA money for arts and culture grants program through Cuyahoga Arts and Culture. We have not applied to the city for ARPA money, no. But we have received ARPA money for One World Day.
So, Madam Chair, I guess what I'm asking is, do we hold back money? Do we give them money and have that restricted? I guess those are my only questions here. I certainly don't mind supporting this.
I think we need a actual budget for how they're going to spend the money.
Okay.
And then we could allocate portions of our funds for certain pieces of that budget and get you started on what you need to do, but hold some in reserve so that if there isn't a matching fund that comes forward by a certain date, then you don't have to pay us anything back. We've held the funds, and you can ask for an amendment to get additional time to
Okay.
get money from, like, the Cleveland Foundation if the city can't step up.
Sure.
I'm sorry, Mr. President, did you have a comment?
Thank you, Councilwoman. You actually gave my comment. So I'll just simply
We're
say.
spending too much time
right,
together.
Great minds think alike. There we go. So obviously, if there are a certain costs with the restrooms, and we've given dollars, and in all ways you're using as a leveraging piece. So you will take these dollars and say to the city, this is what the bathrooms cost. Here's where the county has contributed. We ask for your support as well. So with these dollars and the commitment, we ask that you certainly do as you've already said, ask and look to get those dollars. So you should at least get a window opportunity to make that effort.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Who are we assigning to follow up on this with her? Is this a Trevor or a Mike King assignment? Would somebody raise their hand?
Well,
Where's
this
Joe?
is
Because I
community
can't see
development.
Joe from here.
Where are we?
Oh,
Economic-
Cynthia. I can't see her either. She's behind the pillar. Hello? Okay, did you see the people with their hands in the air?
Yes.
Okay, so if you would, after we make a decision here, talk to one of those two people.
Okay.
Then you will be able to move this forward. Any other comments?
Thank you.
Mr. President, do we have a motion somewhere here?
I make a motion that we move this agenda forward. This under full 3 readings.
Yes.
Second.
All right. It's been first moved and second. We are going to move this forward with the contingency that you provide a budget to county staff. And if all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing no nays, you have permission to move forward to the full council, and it will take 3 readings in order for the legislation to be completely approved.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Okay, Madam Clerk.
Resolution 2023-0003, awarding a total sum not to exceed $300,000 to the Association of African American Cultural Gardens for the African American Cultural Garden Monument Project from the District 8 ARPA Community Grant Fund.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for inviting us. We're really excited to be here. I'm Levita Ewing. I am a board member and the development chair for the Association of African American Cultural Garden. And here today with us, we have our project manager, Dominique Ozan. We have our construction manager, Edgar Archie, I'm sorry. I know his name, I'm just a little nervous. And we also have our president, Carl Ewing, here. So the African American Cultural Garden, let's see if I can start this PowerPoint. Okay. So the African American Cultural Garden is one of the 36 gardens in the Cleveland Cultural Garden Federation that Lori just spoke about. We're really excited that our garden is the only garden that will be a part of the Civil Rights Trail here in Cleveland that has been designated by the Cleveland Restoration Society and approved by the Ohio History Connection. Our garden, we hope to break ground for the next phase of our garden on Juneteenth, 2023, which will be at the same time that the civil rights marker will be installed. We're excited that we have completed phase 1 of our building project in 2016. Our garden represents a journey, and the door of no return, the quarter of no return, was built in 2016 and dedicated. So far, we've raised a little bit over $1 million for this next phase of the garden, and we've had support from the city, from the state, from businesses, from foundations, for this next phase. Let's see if I can move the slide on. So the question becomes, what does this garden represent to our community? The African American Cultural Garden is in the midst of the African American community, being in the Glendale neighborhood. Our garden represents reflection. It represents a place to serve. We're really excited that we have partnered with the Cleveland Municipal School District to bring 8th grade students to the garden to learn the history, to learn the journey of many people. And the reason that they chose 8th grade is because this is when they have their American history curriculum. So we've been working with the Director of Social Studies, Gail Gaddison, to develop a curriculum that will encompass the African American garden. It's also a place to showcase our art. We are working with the extended family. This here is a quilt of the Underground Railroad symbols. So even though our ancestors on their journey could not read, could not write, but they knew these symbols. And to teach these to those who come to the garden is phenomenal. This is also a place to gather. Not only do we have programs at the garden, but we encourage the community to come and to share the experience of the African American Garden. It's a place to call our own. We have bikers, we have runners, we have families, all that come and are amazed at the door of no return, the quarter of no return. So you might say, how will the community benefit from this garden? So can you imagine a couple starting their life together on their journey, getting married on the platform at the African American Cultural Garden? It is a place where people can begin their journey in life to reach their goals. And that's what our garden represents, the past, the present, and the future. It can be a place for healing. You know, we talk about mental health and the empowerment of being outside. And this garden can do that because there are benches there where you can sit and reflect. This is a place for learning. You know, we had an opportunity to work with Stonebrook Montessori School and their kindergarten class. That was via Zoom, but to actually bring them to the garden and to learn the flowers and the shrubs and the trees. It's amazing. Environmental justice, you can get that at our garden also. You know, when we talk about the benefit of trees and carbon that's stored in the wood of the trees, when we talk about fossil fuel and cars and how those things are stored in the leaves of the trees, our landscaping design helps to protect our environment. It's a place to celebrate. We are one of the few organizations that have been celebrating Juneteenth for the last 20 years, and so we're excited that it's a national holiday. It's a place for us to participate in community events, such as One World Day, as Lori spoke about, and our garden participates every year with that. So phase 2 will consist of constructing the 50-foot granite platform. Etched on it will be the Little Dipper and North Star, which signifies our ancestors coming from the South, the Great Migration, because this is the African American Garden. It will also, we will also put in the waterways from the door of no return to the platform, and then the water that will continue from that platform to the future area where there will be benches and more water, which signifies and gives homage to our past, knowing that you can accomplish anything in this country, regardless of the migrates of challenges. Thank you. I can move it forward here a little bit. So funding. So far, we have received funding from the City of Cleveland, the Ohio Capital Grant in 2021, the Holden Foundation, the Park Foundation, the Cleveland Foundation, Sherwin-Williams, Nordstrom, and lots of individual contributions, which is very, very important because every little bit helps. So whether you gave $5, $1,000, $10,000, we are very grateful and thankful for that. So here again, we have funding requests out at this point to Cuyahoga County, which is where we are here today. We have funding out, a request out for the Cliffs Foundation. We have not heard back yet. Shaker Lakes Garden Club and the National Park Service. We've got funding requests out. So I'd like to show you a short video of what our design represents.
I'm Leon Bibb. The African American Cultural Garden, one of the many cultural gardens on Martin Luther King Drive, celebrates the African American experience. Part of the garden is already completed on the upper level. It represents the past with the door of no return. You can walk between the black granite walls and imagine the fearful experience of those taken from Africa in tight quarters on slave ships.
This is Danita Harris from News 5. What has not been built yet is a channel for water that cascades down the hill, representing the Middle Passage on the Atlantic Ocean. It leads to a black granite terrace that will host events. It is etched with the Little Dipper and the North Star, which guided thousands of enslaved people to freedom in the North.
I'm Wayne Dawson. The water will continue to flow down the hillside in reference to the Ohio River and the Great Lakes that facilitated the journey to a better life. It also marks the continued struggle of Black people to the present. The garden will end at Martin Luther King Drive. The entire structure will symbolize the spirit and tremendous resilience of our parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents who came from the South to a better life in the North.
This is Harry Boomer. The future platform beside the MLK Boulevard's walking trail will have benches and a water feature that gives homage to our past and hope to our future generations that anything is possible regardless of the challenges.
This is Obi Shelton. Let's finish it. The African American Cultural Garden has a portion already built at the top of the hill. With your help, it will cover the entire hill as a magnificent tribute to those who came before us, as well as a symbol of pride and hope for future generations. We need your donations of money, time, and energy to make it happen. Everybody can contribute something. We can do it. Click the support button to get involved. Let's finish it.
So we are here to answer any questions that you might have regarding the African American Cultural Garden.
Madam Chair?
Ms. Simon?
Thank you. Oh, yeah, this is stunning. It's just a stunning vision for this. So what is the gap in funding to get this complete? Assuming you get this grant from us and you have this request out to the several donors, what would you still have a gap?
With the funds that we potentially will get from the county, we have $700,000 out in terms of requests. We've raised about 1.1 million. The entire project costs $4 million. So we are still about a little 2 million short. However, you know, we are constantly fundraising every day. We are constantly looking for opportunities, and we do have the support of Mayor Bibb, who has said he is doing whatever he can to make sure that we can break ground for the final phase.
You want to break ground for the second phase before Juneteenth?
Well, Juneteenth 2023 is when we want to break ground.
When you want to break
Yes.
the ribbon? Okay.
And the entire project, I just spoke with our project manager, says that it will take 9 to 12 months to complete.
Okay. Yeah, I'm interested, Madam Chair, in talking about some of the ARPA dollars, additional dollars that potentially can help with the funding.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President, did you have I'm sorry, Mr. Kelly.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This says Phase 2. Is there going to be other phases after this, or is this the final phase?
Our goal is for this to be the final phase, and that you will see the complete rendering of the garden.
Excellent, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you.
is this in your district?
It is not in my district. This is in Councilwoman Yvonne Conwell's district.
Yes.
But it is a project that is close to my heart, and I'm happy to be of support, to do what I can, and just acknowledge Carl Ewing and the entire team. And I see Dominic Ozane, who's doing the construction work, so we don't have to ask about minority participation in the construction work here. So again, I'm just proud of all of you and all the work that you're doing, and I'm just happy to be a part.
Thank you so much. And if you feel that there are other ARPA dollars out there, we will most certainly appreciate whatever you can give us.
I do have a couple of questions.
Yes, ma'am.
The total project cost is $4 million. You have 1.1 already, which leaves 2.9 that you're trying to raise?
And we have $700,000 in applications out there right now.
How much are you asking the National Park Foundation for?
$150,000. And since we've already been approved for the Cleveland Civil Rights Trail, you know, we are very, very hopeful that we will get funding from them.
So you're still going to need 1.1 million. Or
Approximately.
2.1 million.
2.1.
And you have potential sources for that?
Well, we are still advocating with businesses, with the city again. And as I said, Mayor Bibb has given us his strong support in helping us to raise the funds.
What, are you hoping to raise the 2 million in the next 6 months?
That is our hope.
I suppose we can make this contingent upon their fundraising. So that they can't draw any money down from us until they've raised the other money.
Well,
So tell us how
so
things-
Because if
the other thing is that Councilman asked if we wanted to do the final phase. Okay, there is a phase that was approved through planning that didn't include the final phase, but the mayor had asked us, let's get it done. Let's try and get the whole thing done. But if that final phase, if the funding isn't already there for the final phase, there is the opportunity for us to do part of it and continue to raise money for the final phase.
So what is your timetable? You would like to begin?
Break ground Juneteenth, 2023.
Break ground Juneteenth 2020, phase 2. And so by that date, you ideally would like to have commitments for all of the money? Ideally.
Which could be the third phase, if we don't. But there is a plan for a second phase, just in case. But our goal, a strong goal, with the mayor's support and help, is to get it all done. And we have, to get it all done.
Did we get a budget with this?
Did we get a budget?
I'm not sure whether I did, but I can
I don't
certainly
remember
provide the
seeing-
budget.
You know, I look at so much paper, I don't remember everything.
Trevor or guys, did we get a budget? Okay. I'm sure I would recommend we simply move forward. Here's my hope and expectation that after all of the support, we have a strong support from the mayor. Ultimately, they're going to look, and I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, but do you believe that there's going to be a full raising of the monies by Juneteenth and circling back to the previous providers and partners to close the gap?
I think that our board, and we brought on an executive director, Obie Shelton, who was responsible for the video that you just saw, and the vision, and that my hope is that we will have all of the funding. Because we can't break ground without all the funding.
Okay. If they won't break ground without all the funding, we're fine, we're protected.
But as I said, we're going to break ground for phase 2 and just break it up, phase 2, phase 3, if we don't have all the funding. So there is a plan.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Sure. I believe this breaking ground is the goal, and I think if we can help with that, I'm okay with moving forward with this project. But the question I have is, I'm not clear what Mayor Bibb is indicating he'll do. Did I hear you say he's going to help facilitate getting funding, or is he actually going to fund?
He said he would help facilitate getting the funding. So what does that mean to me? That means that he will make the necessary calls to businesses or whatever his strategy is to help with the funding for the project.
Have you discussed ARPA funding coming from Cleveland City, from the mayor's office? He's indicated he has this ARPA money and he has a strategic vision for it, but I've yet to see where this money's going to go. And I believe this is really imperative to the city. This is really important to add this garden to the gardens, important to the city. And I would think this would be a project for which he would consider valuable enough to fund. When here we are at the county, I don't live in your district, but I feel this is worthy of funding. So have you had any discussions about actual dollars being
We have
given?
not, but since I'm here and there is city ARPA dollars, we will definitely look at that avenue. Absolutely,
Please.
we will.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we move this item to the full council after 3 readings.
I'll second that and have my name added.
And if you would add my name as well, Madam Clerk. Motion has been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
This motion is passed. You will go before County Council for 3 readings, and then I'm presuming, given this committee has supported your request, it will pass through, and you will be, receive a formal commitment for our funding.
Thank you so much.
You're most
We
welcome.
appreciate your support.
Madam Clerk, is there any other business for this committee?
There's no other business.
Hearing no other business for this committee, I believe we will move into adjournment.
Right.